Now, a couple of other things coming in here. Here is a question, Chris from Whitby. Sarah, should a 35-year-old take the vaccine when the risk to me from COVID is virtually nothing? There's obviously no medium-term safety data for the Pfizer vaccine. The H1N1 vaccine was discovered to cause narcolepsy 3 years after it was delivered. That's Chris from Whitby.
So the first thing to point out about the Pandemrix vaccine, which was the narcolepsy vaccine, was that it had been pushed through at speed, and therefore they decided not to do the full trials that have been done here. Now, I think in retrospect that was a huge mistake, but it did not have the same trials that have been done on this vaccine. So it hadn't got, 40,000 people going through the trials before it was approved. The second thing to point out is you're absolutely right that a 35-year-old is very much less likely to die. So to put it into perspective, an over 85-year-old is 630 times more likely to die, and over 75 to 84-year-old is 90 times more likely, and a 65 to 75-year-old is 20 times more likely to die from COVID than an under 30-year-old. However, there are, of course, younger people who are going to have underlying health conditions, and they could be at significantly higher risk. Now, when we look at whether we're going to roll the virus out and try and give it to everybody, it would be to get community immunity. And the point about that is the reason it's going to older people first is because in order to stop lockdown, in order to get this country back up and running, we need firstly to reduce the number of cases, secondly to reduce the number of cases in over 60s, and this is what the tiers are decided on because they're the high-risk ones. Thirdly, to reduce the number of cases across the whole country, but fourthly, to stop the NHS being under pressure. Now, if you can protect over 75s, over 80s, over 85s, and people in care homes, then you immediately dramatically reduce the number of beds in the NHS which are taken up. So from that perspective, we don't, quote, need community immunity in order to get the country back and running. However, what we don't know at the moment, we're almost certainly not going to be going for community immunity or herd immunity, as it's sometimes called, because as yet, we don't know how long that immunity will last for. So that's why at the moment, there is no plan to vaccinate under 50s.
Right, okay, that's really, really, really interesting. Sarah,